And we've watched the WNBA fail with this as well. And I don't think they figured it out, frankly. All right? I don't think they figured it out. I don't think they have truly embraced the WNBA or USA basketball, that they have embraced who moves the needle. In fact, I think they're still petty. I think they're still jealous. And I think they still hate all the new fans.
Look at that promotional graphic. Really look at it. USA Basketball just announced their World Cup qualifying roster, and the biggest star in women's basketball is nowhere to be seen in the marketing material. Not small in the corner, not in the background, completely absent. Meanwhile, FIBA, the international governing body, has zero confusion about who sells tickets. They plaster Caitlin Clark front and center on everything. So what's happening here isn't an accident, it's a choice.
No Caitlin Clark on this. Introducing the 2028 USA Women's World Cup qualifying team. What in the world are we doing? Not only that, but you're in negotiations on a CBA right now that you would not be getting if it wasn't for the straight white girl that plays it for the Indiana Fever. Let's just be real. You wouldn't be getting it. You wouldn't have got that $200+ million media rights deal either, by the way.
The contrast is stunning when you see it side by side. FIBA's World Cup marketing features Caitlin Clark as the centerpiece because they understand something fundamental about sports business. You market your biggest draw. You don't hide them. You don't diminish them. You certainly don't pretend they're just another player on the roster when television ratings prove otherwise. But USA Basketball posted their roster announcement with Aaliyah Boston and Chelsea Gray front and center. The comments section exploded immediately. Hundreds of fans asking the same question, where's Caitlin Clark? Where's the player who actually moves the needle?
So, this came out, and I mean, yeah, of course, right there. Seriously, here we go. Please start using your brains and promote Caitlin Page and Angel Reese next to Aaliyah Boston. They're not going to do it, man. They're just not going to do it. You got plenty of people in the comments. Yeah, starting point guard has arrived. Right there. I mean, the fans know it. Are you ever going to advertise Caitlin Clark or nah? Sick and tired of you all.
Here's what makes this particularly revealing. We're watching this play out during active CBA negotiations. The WNBA Players Association is currently bargaining for a collective bargaining agreement that would dramatically increase salaries across the league. They're negotiating for charter flights, better accommodations, improved working conditions, and the only reason they have any leverage in these negotiations is because the league just signed a $200 million media rights deal. That media rights deal happened because of one player. Television networks don't pay 9 figures for a league that was drawing 300,000 viewers per game. They pay that money when a single player can deliver 3.2 million viewers for a regular season matchup.
Beckers and their agendas. Guys, you realize Caitlin Clark can make this team and she might play 7 minutes. There's a world, unfortunately, where that exists. And we all know if that happens, that's going to be what? Agenda. There she is right there. Right there. So everybody can clearly see in this World Cup marketing material, Caitlin Clark, USA.
The denial is what's fascinating here. It's not subtle skepticism or debate about star power. It's active resistance to acknowledging reality. When fans flood the comments section asking why Caitlin Clark isn't featured in marketing materials, that's market research happening in real time. That's your audience telling you explicitly what they want to see. And the response from USA Basketball, after the backlash reached critical mass, they posted a second graphic. This one at least included Caitlin Clark, though they still positioned Angel Reese more prominently in the layout. It's better than the first attempt, sure, but the fact that it took a social media firestorm to get there reveals the underlying problem.
Yeah, I mean, look, FIBA knows who people want to see. It's crazy as hell. And then after all the backlash against this, USA Basketball drops this little thing out here. And there's Caitlin. And by the way, they still put Angel Reese in the forefront. But at least it's better. I'm sorry, guys. Caitlin Clark would be like...
Think about what this means for someone in Caitlin Clark's position. She made the World Cup qualifying team, which is positive. But remember what happened with the Olympic roster. Dawn Staley and Jen Rosati were part of the selection committee that left her off the Paris Olympics team entirely. Those same people are still deeply involved in USA basketball decision-making. Stephanie White, who just became the Indiana Fever's head coach, comes from that same circle. These are the established power brokers in women's basketball, and they've made their perspective clear through their actions. Caitlin Clark doesn't fit their preferred narrative about who should represent the face of the sport.
I can't wait to watch Caitlin Clark play. And I do these CBA videos and people are like, what, do we care? And I'm like, well, I want to watch Caitlin Clark play. I want to watch Sophie Cunningham play. So yeah, I kind of hope there'd be a season, especially after this shit show that was last season. Right? But the WNBA feels the same way as USA Basketball because it's invaded and ate up with all these tentacles out there of the old WNBA. Dawn Staley was part of the previous committee.
The Olympic snub created a built-in excuse that could resurface here. She's coming off an injury. Does she have her stamina back? Is she game ready for international competition? These are the kinds of questions that can justify reduced playing time, regardless of talent level. So yes, she made the roster, but there's a very real possibility she plays 7 minutes per game while sitting behind players who don't generate a fraction of her audience appeal. And if that happens, we'll hear all about how it's based on fit, or experience, or defensive capabilities. Never mind that international basketball thrives on elite shooting and playmaking, which happens to be exactly what she brings.
Been an ex-player. Stephanie White is right there with, I mean, this is what I can't get through people's heads. She's right there with these others. Sue Bird. It's crazy. We're gonna see. I've contended the season's gonna come back. The players are gonna sign a CBA. We're already seeing there's real differing of opinions out there about the CBA now amongst players. And you can tell some of the players want to sign this new CBA. The one they got right now, they're ready to sign because they're bringing up,
What's particularly frustrating for fans who came to the WNBA because of Caitlin Clark is the sense that they're still not wanted, not by the old guard, not by the establishment, not by the people who control marketing decisions and roster construction. These new fans showed up, bought tickets, watched games, engaged with content, and learned about other players in the process. That's exactly how you grow a sport. But instead of welcoming that growth, there's resentment. Resentment that it took a straight white girl from Iowa to finally get mainstream attention. Resentment that she doesn't check certain demographic boxes. Resentment that the new fans didn't earn their fandom by suffering through years of low attendance and minimal media coverage.
And the WNBA won't do anything about it. Oh, it's a physical league. And it's because the whole league the whole league and USA Basketball is corrupted by a bunch of haters. The agenda they live by, Caitlin Clark doesn't check those boxes. Tell me what you think, black and white sports supporters. USA Basketball off to a great stop. The only thing worse than that would have been actually leaving her off the team, which I was about halfway bracing myself for because I thought, uh-oh.
The WNBA season will come back. The players will sign a CBA because ultimately the money on the table is too significant to walk away from and we're already seeing fractures in the Players Association about whether to accept the current offer. Some players are publicly stating they don't want to leave money on the table. They recognize this is a unique moment in league history where leverage exists that won't last forever. But here's what's going to happen once the season starts. Every fourth game or so, someone's going to run down the court and clothesline Caitlin Clark. The league will do nothing about it beyond maybe a common foul call. We'll hear about how it's a physical league, how she needs to adjust to professional basketball, how this is just playoff intensity. And the cycle will continue because the whole league, from USA Basketball down through team management, is infected with this same resistance to fully embracing who actually drives interest in the sport.
Her stamina back, blah, 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 blah. I was bracing for it. I'm happy she made the team. Peace, I'm out.
Here's what this situation reveals about sports marketing in general, and women's basketball specifically. When you have a transcendent talent who breaks through to mainstream consciousness, you have two choices. You can ride that wave and use it to elevate everyone around them. Or you can resist it because it doesn't fit your preferred narrative about how success should look. The smart business decision is obvious. You put your biggest star front and center on every piece of marketing material. You build storylines around them. You create content that feeds audience interest. You maximize the moment because these opportunities don't come along often in sports history. But USA Basketball chose differently. They posted a roster announcement graphic that treated Caitlin Clark like an afterthought. They only course-corrected after fans revolted in the comments section. That's not a marketing mistake. That's an organizational culture problem. The same pattern played out with the Olympic roster. The selection committee had months to make their decision. They knew the television ratings. They knew the attendance figures. They knew that Caitlin Clark was driving unprecedented interest in women's basketball, and they left her off the team anyway. The excuses were predictable. She needs more time to develop. The team chemistry is already established. We're prioritizing experience in international competition, all of which might sound reasonable if we didn't have concrete evidence that her presence dramatically increases viewership and engagement. Now she's on the World Cup qualifying roster, which is progress. But watch what happens with playing time. Watch how the rotation gets managed. Watch whether she's actually featured in the games or whether she becomes a bench piece who plays garbage time minutes. Because here's the uncomfortable truth that nobody wants to say out loud. The people making decisions in USA Basketball and the WNBA don't particularly like Caitlin Clark's fans. They don't like that it took her to generate mainstream interest. They don't like the demographic reality of who she is and what that represents. And they especially don't like being told by new fans that they need to change how they've always done things, so they make these petty decisions. Marketing graphics that exclude her, roster selections that marginalize her, media coverage that emphasizes everyone except her, and then they act surprised when fans push back and demand better. The FIBA marketing material proves this isn't complicated. International basketball federations understand star power. They understand that you promote your biggest draw because that's how you sell tickets and generate television interest. They're not conflicted about it. They're not resistant to it. They just do it because it's obvious. But USA Basketball can't seem to figure out what FIBA grasped immediately. Or more accurately, they understand it perfectly well, and they're choosing to do something different because they're prioritizing other considerations above business success. The CBA negotiations make this even more absurd. Players are fighting for higher salaries, better travel conditions, improved facilities. All of that costs money. All of that requires the league to generate significantly more revenue than it has historically. And the only reason that revenue growth is possible is because Caitlin Clark brought millions of new viewers to the sport. Yet the same players who benefit from her popularity are often the ones most resistant to acknowledging it. The same organizations that are negotiating based on increased media rights values are the ones putting out marketing materials that downplay her significance. It's self-defeating in the most obvious way possible. You can't simultaneously demand higher pay because the league is more valuable, while also refusing to promote the person who made it more valuable. Well, you can try, but it reveals a fundamental lack of strategic thinking. What happens next season is going to be fascinating to watch. The league will come back. The CBA will get signed, games will be played, and every time Caitlin Clark takes the court, we're going to see whether anything has actually changed. Will the officiating protect star players, or will cheap shots continue to be waved off as playoff physicality? Will marketing materials feature the players who drive ratings, or will we keep seeing this bizarre resistance to promoting the biggest draw? Will media coverage reflect reality, or will it continue pushing narratives that don't match what audiences actually care about? The pessimistic view, based on everything we've seen so far, is that nothing fundamental changes. The same people are still making decisions, the same organizational culture still exists, the same resentments still fester beneath the surface, and we'll spend next season having the exact same conversations about why the league keeps undermining its own success. But maybe the business reality forces change. Maybe when you're negotiating a CBA worth hundreds of millions of dollars, you can't afford to alienate the fan base that makes those numbers possible. Maybe the pressure from networks who paid for television rights based on projected ratings forces a more rational approach to star promotion. Or maybe we just keep watching this slow-motion train wreck, where everyone involved knows what needs to happen, but can't bring themselves to do it because it conflicts with how they wish the sport had become popular. So where does that leave us? USA Basketball put out a roster announcement that excluded their biggest star from the marketing materials. Fans revolted. They posted a second graphic that was slightly better but still revealed their priorities. And now we wait to see whether Caitlin Clark actually gets featured in these World Cup qualifying games, or whether she ends up playing 7 minutes while the broadcast focuses on everyone else. The answer to that question will tell us everything we need to know about whether anything has actually changed in women's basketball leadership. Because if you can't figure out how to promote your biggest star during a moment of unprecedented growth, you're not running a professional sports organization, you're running a social club that happens to play basketball sometimes. And that might have been fine when nobody was watching, and the financial stakes were minimal, but when you're negotiating 9-figure media rights deals, and asking for massive salary increases, you don't get to pretend that business fundamentals don't matter anymore. So what do you think happens here? Does USA Basketball actually feature Caitlin Clark in these World Cup qualifiers, or does she end up on the bench while they prioritize everyone except the player fans actually came to see? Drop your prediction in the comments, because based on everything we've seen so far, I'm not optimistic about how this plays out.